Hello and welcome everyone to part 7 of the Honda Accord restoration series. So in today's video we're going to be rebuilding a power steering pump. So as you guys have seen in the previous episodes, couple of previous episodes, we were restoring the mechanical side of the car. We've done a bunch of stuff including the power steering rack which we rebuilt. Anyway, in today's video we're going to be continuing on the system of the power steering and rebuilding the pumping heart of the power steering system, which is the power steering pump. So let's get straight to work. So the power steering pump, as you can see, is all wet from old oil that has been leaking out of every orifice of it. So we're gonna be taking it out, cleaning it out, and rebuilding the internals of it. So first we're gonna be removing all the hoses that connects to the power steering pump. This is the feed hose for the pump, and this is the pressurized hose. And this is the pressurized line, two 10mm bolts, and this puppy will be out. There are two bolts holding in the pump, one on top 40mm and one on bottom. So make sure to remove the belt on yours before, but in our case it was removed earlier, not by us, by the previous owner. This is the first bolt. Turns out it has some missing bolts over here. Something just fell. Anyway, today's video is gonna be showing you how to rebuild and not discover what you have and what you don't have, like us. Removing it from the car is a bonus. Have fun. Just like that, pump is out. Let the rebuilding begin. Okay guys, so to remove the pulley of the power steering pump, it's only a 110mm bolt, but in our case it was missing. Also, anyway, now the work begins. We have 5 10mm bolts to open the two housings of the power steering pump, maybe 3 housings apart. So let's remove those. As you can see, this seal is the main cause of the leak, but we're gonna recondition the whole pump anyway. Guys, so after loosening all the bolts, it's easier to do it on the car. Remove the pulley, then loosen all the bolts, just click them free. Then you can remove them on the ground or on the table, on the workbench, wherever you're doing it. So if you remove the pump before loosening the bolts, you can use a vise or have a friend to step on it, hold it for you while you crack them free like we did. So the 4 main bolts are the same height, same length, and a small one goes only on this bucket here. Then you flip it over to pop out the backing plate. It's spring loaded, so maybe not. Well, it only goes on one way, so there's nothing to be interact with yet till we get deeper. Guys, and now remove this valve here using a 12mm wrench. Just pop it out. Just there's a spring underneath this valve. Goes on like that. Make sure you stay organized. Okay. After removing the valve, just press on the 2 rotors here and remove the middle housing. Everything goes on one way because of the valve hole here so it can be lined up easily. Now remove the counter shaft rotor. You know it's the counter shaft because it's not the main shaft. The main shaft is what spins them all with the pulley. This is the main shaft and this is the counter shaft. This is the rotor of the pump. You need to make sure you stay organized, know what is top and what is bottom, and which rotor is which to put it back in place where it was before. Okay guys, so on the counter shaft here, as you can see, there are 3 lines from the factory, which points upwards like this, towards the back of the pump, towards the back plate, points upwards. On each shaft, all you have to do is to make sure to keep in mind what is the counter shaft and what is the main shaft. Now the main shaft, I believe, is different, completely different because of the drive mechanism on it, because it has to be outside and be driven with the pulley. As you can see, we just pull the housing with it. Okay. Yep. Just pull the housing. Okay guys, so on the drive shaft here, the main shaft, this housing can be pulled with it because it's stuck on it, because there's a C-clip in here that holds the drive shaft to the housing. Anyway, you can keep it like that because there's nothing to do. If we removed it, we're gonna be assembling it back together the same way it is. So there's nothing to change here, all metal parts. On this side, the housing or the stator of the power steering pump or of the counter shaft can be removed easily, just like that. Put it back together also. Okay guys, so now we've reached the front plate. All we gotta do is pop this seal, which is a figure of 8, out. Just like that, so easy. It's self-explanatory. You can tell which way it goes by looking at it. Now we've reached our corporate, which is this seal. So we're gonna be pushing it out. We need a screwdriver to push it out. Just like that, we got ourselves the old seal out. So we're gonna go get ourselves a rebuild kit or only the seal that we need and be right back with you during the installation. Now, before we do any of that, we're gonna start giving everything a deep clean. Okay guys, so it's here the next day. Yesterday we cleaned everything out and we also bought the new parts that we need. Today we're gonna start the assembly. Here are all the seals and parts that we're gonna be replacing, so let the assembly begin. First we're gonna grease the metal to metal contact surfaces with some bearing grease, high temperature bearing grease. This is where the metal rotates on itself, so it has no bearing, it only has races, so it needs to be greased. I'm gonna press in the new seal that we have. All those races had a thin coat of grease in them, so make sure you put that back in because they have a solid bearing in them. It's not a roller, so they need light coat of grease. Guys, so set the figure of 8 back in place, just like that. Now it's time to install the races. Just like that. Now it's time to install the rotors. Make sure you put a thin coat of grease also on the bearing surfaces. The three slices, 3 lines, goes upwards. The long rotor goes on the drive side. This is the driver main shaft. You need to push it through the seal, just like that. Wipe the excess grease off. As you can see, the 3 lines goes upwards. Okay guys, so make sure you throw a little bit of oil on the O-rings so they can slide in easily. We didn't find these housing seals, so we're gonna improvise and use some RTV on them. Just a thin coat. Make sure you wipe the excess RTV from the inside out. Those little tiny precaution steps is what keeps everything working fine. Now we're gonna slap the housing back in place. Now we're gonna slap the valve back in place. Don't forget the spring goes in first, then this goes outwards. Here we are putting a thin coat of RTV also on this seal because we didn't find it. This is the last piece of the puzzle. So we got all the rings replaced. Now we're gonna throw a thin coat of grease on this material here, bearing material. Then we're gonna slap it back together. Now we're gonna be installing the bolts back in place. This thing is spring loaded, so you need to pull it down with the bolts. Tighten the bolts evenly with a crisscross pattern, pulling all 3 housings together. You don't want it to bind. Okay guys, so now we're gonna put the pulley back on. Note that the bolt of the pulley is left-hand thread. Just like that. So you turn it anti-clockwise to tighten it. And just like that, we finished rebuilding the power steering pump. All we have to do now is throw it back in place. Okay guys, so as you remember, the power steering pump was butchered before and deleted. So there was no belt and we have a bunch of missing bolts. A quick tip to measure the length of the missing belt is to use a piece of wire like this. This is gonna be your temporary belt, just for some measuring purposes, of course. Okay. So all you do is mark where the two lines meet, just like that. Now you can take the piece of wire to the parts shop and get yourself a new belt. Okay guys, so it's here the next day and we went straight to the store and got us a new belt with the same measurement of this wire that we took yesterday. So now we're gonna throw this puppy straight in. Now after installing the belt, we can now test the whole system up. Now that we got everything ready, everything is bolted down, all the hoses are hooked up, and also we got the new belt, we're gonna fill the system up with some power steering fluid. Okay guys, so as you can see, the power steering pump is spinning fine, no weird noises is coming out of it, and it's pumping fluid, and the steering wheel feels like butter. So with that being said, this video is a complete guide to show you how to rebuild a power steering pump. So guys, thanks a lot for watching. Make sure you subscribe, like the video, and comment down below. See you on the next one. Peace.